Video games are super fun and super expensive. And once you bust open that plastic, you're stuck with them. That's why Redbox lets you try out all the hottest new games risk-free. Right now, you can rent NBA 2K18, Destiny 2, Pro Evolution Soccer 2018, and more. Text Crucible to 727272 for a free one-night game rental.
Redbox, the smarter way to watch and play. Offer expires December 31st, 2017, subject to additional terms. Charges apply for additional nights. Payment card required. If you're not in Text Club, Redbox will send you an additional text with an invite to join the recurring alerts. Message and data rates may apply. For terms, visit www.redbox.com/textclub, and for the privacy policy, visit redbox.com/privacy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That
was
okay?
fun. I don't know what came over me. I just saw these terms and conditions, and I just felt a fire light inside of me.
Oh, man.
It came out as a very calm voice. Oh my God, I just did it again. What's happening to me?
I'm scared.
Hey guys, it's me, Fallout, back on the show. I love science.
All right, that's the intro bit. Andrew, drop it.
Oh. So disappointing in us.
Oh boy. Hello, friends. Hello,
Hey,
Swain
guys.
and Birds.
It's Bones.
It's me.
Hey, Bonesy.
He's back.
How was the wedding?
Oh, it was great. It was wonderful. I had a really fun time. I went to New Jersey, a little time in Philadelphia. I mean, a little time in Pennsylvania. Sorry, Swain.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It was one of those vacations. You know how sometimes you go on like a really fun but exhausting vacation. You're just like, wow, that was so wild. I'm actually kind of looking forward to just get back in the swing of things. This was not that vacation. It was more like I want to still be on vacation and fuck normal things. So I guess it was good.
Well, that sounds wonderful. The rest of us were back here playing Destiny and enjoying it.
And well, speaking of people who were actively playing Destiny 2 and the people who were busy doing fun things like going to a wedding, I apologize, future War Cult. I let you down. I wasn't home to grind out, and I let Swain win.
It's all Bones' fault. So
it is.
If you need a person
I take full responsibility.
It's Bones.
Had I been home, Dead Orbit would not be pasting their ugly colors all over the tower right now. But congrats to
the worst. They're the worst idea.
Two ugliest colors together. Whatever. 6 scout rifle, I guess.
Well, we are back once again here at Crucible Radio, your source for all things Destiny PvP. And we have our final giveaway. Woo!
Oh, man.
If you just tuned in to this is your first episode and you didn't know, we've been doing giveaways for the past 3 weeks. We've been leading up to a big one this week. And Birds, I believe you have the information that everyone is waiting for.
It turns you thought it was a drum roll. It was actually one of those big Price is Right spinning wheels.
Oh, also, this is for a custom scuff. So
yes, for a custom scuff of your choice, you can do the Crucible Radio signature one. You can do the Bird signature one, but you probably don't want to do the Swain signature one or the Bones.
Yeah, mine's good.
Take your pick or make your own signature one. I recommend the Impact. Got so many paddles. And of course, I am speaking to you, Robert L., a.k.a. RoboCod. You know who you are. Congratulations. You just won yourself a Scuff controller. If you would still like to sign up for the giveaway, we are not giving anything else away, but we are going to keep registration open. And I don't know. We don't have any plans past that, but see what happens. Just go to crucibleradio.com/giveaway.
I mean, yeah, see what happens. I don't know. I'm not even hinting at something like maybe we'll do another thing. I literally don't know, but it is worth it to just see what happens. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
No, really, we don't know anything else. No, actually, we don't know.
Yeah. There's no
know.
wink to this. We're not even like winking behind the mic. Just try it. You have nothing to lose.
Oh, I was winking, but it was for another thing.
Yeah, right.
It's unrelated. All right. Well, welcome to Crucible Radio, the show for all things.
I did that already.
2 Oh, okay. Well then, fine. I rescind my welcome. You're already here.
Where we read an iTunes review and we ask people to go to iTunes or whatever podcast review system they have and leave us a 5-star review. You wanna talk more about that? I think that's the gist of it, Bertz.
Welcome to Crucible Radio, show for all things Destiny 2 5-star review. All right, what do we got?
We have one from Buckeye Tim, and it says musical breaks are awesome, and then it says musical breaks are awesome, and the rest of the podcast is okay. So
fair enough.
That's a good point.
Let's throw it to musical break right now.
Yeah, just do it right now.
Musical break.
Wait.
Musical break.
I think it's a little early for that.
We would do all musical breaks if we could, but then it would just be a musical show.
That's true. Anyway, we'll get to the musical break later. But we have been playing Destiny 2 for about a month now. This will come out just around a month time that it's been out. We've been settling in, having our fun, doing PvP, doing trials, doing the raid, doing night files, doing it all. But we've taken some time recently, and we've been thinking about the psychology behind video gaming and just in general. It's a lot of mental game that goes into not just video games, but everyday life. So we thought it would be a good idea to just have an episode where we kind of go a little high level. You talk about some mental things.
Finally, my psych degree will be useful.
I'm really excited to do this episode because taking a slight break from the game and really not being on Destiny Twitter that often kind of took me out of the topical stuff about the game, what's hot in trials, what part of the map sucks, blah, blah, blah. So it was really just about excited to get back and play without really knowing, all right, what am I supposed to be frustrated or happy with in the game at the moment? So now I'm just great. Yeah, no, I'm out of that whole topical draw that kind of distracts you. And I'm just let's play. I want to get better. I'm fine playing this game for the foreseeable future, but I want to improve as always. So yeah, we're going to get a little, going to get into our headspace on this episode.
Speaking of headspace, this is not an ad, but I have been using this app called Headspace. And I know that a few of you have listened before when I've talked about it and have signed up for it. It's an awesome app, and it's for meditation, daily meditation. There's a free 10-day thing that you can sign up for. You don't even have to pay for it. But I approached it with a little bit of, awareness. I have heard a lot of successful people meditate. So it was kind of on my to-do list, just kind of try it out, give it a go, see how it influences my everyday life, and see if I want to keep doing it, see if I want to sign up. So I ended up actually signing up for the full app. So it's a monthly, charge that you get all these different classes. There's all sorts of fun stuff in there. There's even a very sports specific one. But like I said, I'm still a student of it. I kind of am still feeling it out, see how I like it. I am not as consistent as I would like to be. I do it depending on my days. My days off, I completely shut down. But my work days, it's a good start to the beginning of my day. And I've kind of gone through the basics classes, some classes on patience, some on productivity, and recently I just dove into an anger focused one. I haven't really talked about before, but I do tend to have some. I stomp down a lot of the anger that wells inside of me, and it bursts out sometimes, and I'm not very happy with it. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this anger focused meditation. But you're probably listening to me right now and asking what does this have to do with Destiny and playing PvP? And I would say that I kind of approached this with an open mind. I wanted to see how it affected me every day. And I kept finding that some of the techniques that they suggest and some of the parts of meditation leaked over into the rest of my day. Not just those 10 or so minutes that I sat down to actually do the meditation. I found myself throughout points in the day, depending on which class I was taking, the basics, patience, all that. They had little things that they told you to do. So like one of them was find 3 moments during the day and count 6 breaths. And you would have to do that. And I found myself, okay, yeah, at some point I would do that. But then I would go into my gaming sessions when I would be playing Destiny, and I found that I wanted to focus up a little bit more. We talked about it a lot before, and I'm all over the place sometimes when I'm playing PvP, and especially when I was on Titan and D1, I would just rush in, have fun, whatever. And I'm finding now that I'm seeing a lot of my friends do well, and Destiny 2 is this whole nother chance to start fresh. So I'm trying to focus on my improvement of my fundamentals, still having fun, but also not letting down my teammates. Because you can hear it, like when you let down your teammates, they, the sigh, like, oh, that sucks. But then, good friends won't get you down for dying in trials. But at the center of this is what they call your monkey mind. And your monkey mind is just all over the place. When you're meditating, you are constantly drifting off the center of what you're concentrating on. It's usually your breathing. And, thinking about what you're going to do that day, some work stuff, Destiny, Twitter, all that. It kind of comes inside your head and bounces around. And the same thing happens when you're playing PvP. I find that I have this monkey mind when I get into a match and I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to do everything real quick and hopefully it turns out great. And I'll get distracted by something over here, whether it's power ammo or what have you. Maybe my radar's pinging and I'm like, oh, cool, a flashing red light. Let me go over here. And this gets me killed in the game. And I tried to think, how do I transfer my meditation activities into Destiny 2? And there is this technique called noting. And noting is, in meditation, it is taking what your distraction is, whether it's like a thought or an action or a feeling, and just instead of like trying to whack-a-mole all of your thoughts down, you are just trying to gently push it out the way. You're just noting that it happened and bringing your focus back. And I found that if I note that I'm doing something wrong and gently nudging myself inside my own head and saying, this is wrong, you need to be refocusing. And usually my focus is holding a point or staying tied to the hip with a teammate. Whatever I decided on in that session, and usually it depends on whether or not you're playing trials or you're playing a regular, quick play match or comp match. I have my goals. So returning my focus by gently noting what I'm doing wrong and coming back to my center has actually helped me a lot. And that happens by either just like gently, like I said, gently, touching it and saying, hey, I'm going to move back to my center. Or if you're dead, I found it good if you focus on breathing. And I've been trying to do the thing that I did in other meditations where it's like, all right, count 3 full breaths. And that's 6 paces. So in 1, out 2, in 1, out 2. And getting to 6 and saying, all right, I've reset. I found my center and I'm going to go back into this game. And hopefully I'm more focused coming out of it.
So, Swain, I have a question about this process, and it seems pretty straightforward. I guess my holdup on meditation has always been like, well, I don't like the whole Zen, hold your arms out, make circles with your fingers or whatever, and then say Om and that kind of thing. But this seems pretty just straightforward, more of like almost like an exercise thing, something I would associate with sports. Is it just that simple, or do you do anything more than that?
So I can like walk you through like what the common like meditation is. Usually it's just you start off, you kind of take, you kind of recognize your surroundings, and usually close your eyes after taking 3 deep breaths. Close your eyes, and then you start focusing on how you feel, like your feelings around you, like touching the ground, touching your legs. And then you transfer from that to focusing on your breathing. And then usually there's some sort of, technique in there that's saying like either you're going to focus on like just the out breath, or you're focusing on something else, and then right before it ends, he kind of just says, now let your mind go, do whatever it wants. And then it refocuses you back in by saying, all right, now go back to your breathing, and then go back to your feeling, like around, like how you're touching everything around you. And then you come back out of it. So it feels almost like sports. I've done sports in the past, and it feels like an exercise, like you're exercising your mind. And when you have it and you're going out throughout your day and you're incorporating it into your day, it feels even more like an exercise, like you are constantly working on something in particular.
Can I give it a shot? I would like to, I think I can do it in about 15 seconds if you guys want to be patient with me. And let me put on my soothing voice. Try this out?
Sure.
All right. So before we get started, you're sitting comfortably, your butt's in the chair, your feet are on the ground. Sit back, take a deep breath in, and let your breath find its way out. Feel the soles of your feet. Feel your ankles. Feel your knees. Feel your hips. Feel your back and your shoulders. Feel your jaw. Feel the tips of your ears. Breathe in. And then let your breath find its way out. That's it.
Simple as
the whole
that.
Thing.
I bet that was peaceful as fuck for some people.
Yeah.
I hope nobody drove off the road.
I know, right?
I know we got a lot of commuter listeners.
But that's like the perfect amount of time that you usually spend dead in the game.
Yep.
Like it also brings you back to your center. You find where your concentration is.
How many times have you guys died and immediately just like grabbed your phone and had enough time to turn the screen on before you're back alive and set it back down again?
Plenty of times.
Yeah, I Lord knows I do it all the time. And it's not because I need something on my phone or I have any plan. It's because I'm not really thinking about what I'm going to do with myself for that little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's cool to say that you're going to not do anything, but you're going to specifically do nothing. So you have time to get ready for when you go back in. No other goal than to be ready to start running the moment your feet hit the ground.
So obviously this isn't for everyone. Like it's not going to work for, half the people. But I encourage you to give it a try. If you are interested in trying to just find one small way to improve your mental ability throughout the day, and hopefully in Destiny and in the PvP world, it sure as hell has helped me. I've found ways throughout my whole life to hopefully remain more calm. And when I'm interacting with others, I'm trying to find common ground and not get angry, being patient. I want to be more patient. I want to be more willing to embrace others. And it's been helping me a lot. And I hope that it finds at least one person and it helps them too.
If you're not sold yet, I'm not going to try and convince you, but just let me try and convince you one little bit. Because there's one thing that I'm starting to find with myself. And that, okay, sure, you're not going to sign up for a yoga class and sit in semi-darkness for 60 minutes breathing deeply while a teacher tells you how to sit. But I've noticed that even in these little ways, that it's not just about clearing your mind out. It's not just about saying, all right, breathe in, suck some air in, blow it out, and think about what I did wrong and go to it. It's hard to describe, and that's why the Headspace app is great, because all you kind of have to do is put in your earbuds and follow along. But the thing that I've started to realize is that it's not just what's going on in your brain. It's connected to everything in your body. And look, when we're playing video games, we want, granted we're not running around, but we want our bodies to be responding right. We want to be looking at the right spot. You want to be moving your thumbs around. You want to be hitting those buttons at the right time. And you want to get it perfect. And I know personally, if I'm thinking about something going on at work, or I'm trying to distract myself, or I'm staring at my phone at the same time, I'm holding my breath, and that makes it harder to focus on doing what I need to do in the game. I'm clenching my hands, my little monkey fist trying to grab a banana.
Your monkey mind and your monkey fists.
Yep. Just always trying to grab bananas. And how many times have we heard someone say, when I'm in the heat of the battle, I clench down on my controller and I accidentally melee, because maybe not this game, but pick your game. Mm-hmm. You accidentally click that thumbstick because you're holding on for dear life, when really you get the best performance when your grip is secure but loose, your hands are free attention, and they're only doing what they need to do.
It makes me think of when I used to accidentally shoot my control freaks off of my controller because I was gripping it so rough and be like, oh, I don't do that anymore. Oh no, I don't know what it is.
Even little things like sitting with one leg tucked underneath you so you're out of balance. That kind of thing is, you can feel it through every bit of your arms. You're going to hold the controller differently. Your left hand's going to be a little bit snugger than your right hand, or you're leaning a little bit, or you're not as responsive on one side or another. This might sound a little foo-foo, but it's all connected, man. What's going on in your brain is connected to all the stuff your body is doing, because 99% of the stuff your body is doing is unconscious. It just kind of happens without you thinking about it. Yep. So doing nothing is a lot more than just not doing anything.
That's very funny, because I'm gonna actually get into a little bit about how to get out of doing nothing and kind of having that blank feeling. So this episode is really gonna pull people in different directions. I like it. A lot to work on.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, and Bones, I can't wait to hear about this. I know you've been dying to do this for a second. We need to give a shout out to our sponsor this episode, Casper Mattresses.
Casper!
Hey, Casper. I missed you, except I didn't, because I slept on you.
I love you, Casper.
I mean,
Swain
that's a funny
just
joke,
kissed
but also
our ad.
Not a joke. I kiss my mattress because I love it, because it's so nice. Look, Casper is an obsessively engineered mattress at a shockingly fair price. You got supportive memory foam. It creates an award-winning sleep service with just the right sink and just the right bounce. And you can try it 100 nights risk-free in your own home.
If you don't love it, they'll pick it up and refund you everything. Casper understands the importance of truly sleeping on a mattress before you commit, especially considering you're going to spend a third of your life sleeping on it.
They got free shipping and returns to the US and Canada. And with over 20,000 reviews, make it 20,002, because Swain and I are all been there kissing our mattresses. An average of 4.8 stars. It's quickly becoming the internet's favorite mattress. I never want to use anything else. I fall asleep when I lie down and I wake up feeling fresh. Can't beat it.
I find any excuse to take a nap in the middle of my day. And
you were already an enthusiastic napper, but I'm a little
so
bit
good
worried.
at napping. And I gotten even better thanks to Casper.
So look, if you're interested, you got nothing to lose. You're going to get $50 toward any mattress purchase. If you don't like it, it's risk-free. You can send it back, but you won't. All you got to do is visit casper.com/crucible, CRUCIBLE, and using offer code CRUCIBLE. Terms and conditions apply.
Thinking about that long nap that I call sleep I'm about to take after this podcast.
All right. So I woke up feeling fresh-faced, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed. I cleared my mind. I'm focused. I'm ready to go in. I'm playing. What's going on inside my head? Or what should be going on inside my head?
Well,
Breakfast
birds.
nachos.
Yeah, those.
Yeah. No disagreement there?
Breakfast nachos. Dude, I saw Grenadier Jake post a picture of nachos today on Twitter, and I just about like, there's no nachos in like a 10-mile radius of my office. I was so sad, but I needed some nachos today. I might have to get some nachos this weekend.
I went to a wedding out in the middle of nowhere. They was like at a campground. We were there for the weekend, and the big selling point was that they had unlimited 24/7 gas station nachos. And let me tell you, when you hit like the 3:30 a.m. mark of the wedding party, what you really want is some gas station nachos. You want a lot of them over and over. Nice touch campground at the wedding that I went to.
That sounds lovely. But before we get into another food conversation, even though it's a recurring
where my
segment,
nachos at?
all right, it's my turn to speechify. This is a topic that I swear I've brought it up on the show, and I might have done like a condensed version. So if you've heard this, I think it's good that you're hearing it again. And this time you're going to hear it in its fullness, right? And if I didn't talk about it, great. It's
Sure.
new for everyone. Okay. I must give credit to a YouTuber who I have mentioned on the show before, Skyline. He focuses on Overwatch, but his shit is so methodical, so intelligent, so interesting. It applies to competition as a whole, and it has really improved my game. So what I've learned about this topic comes from him, and I thank him for these informative videos. The topic, though, it's got a nice ring to it. It's called OODA Loop. OODA Loop, doesn't it? It's like a cereal. Yes, this is a concept created and used by the U.S. military, and it's an extremely complex psychological strategy. And if like you research it, you'll just be like, what? Like it's way too much. But we're gonna slim it down way down to how it can apply to video games. And the basic concept here is think before you act. Duh, right? Very simple. But there's a lot that goes on while you're doing that. And this little loop really, really clarifies it. And it describes, well, personally, how I need to play to make up for my reaction times and stuff. But you'll see why. So I've been saying OODA Loop, and that's an acronym, OODA, and it stands for observe, orient, decide, and act. And let's go through the four of those right away. Observe. That's taking in raw information. The stuff on your screen, supers on top of the screen, timer, score,
Radar,
movement. Something happens, literally bullets. I don't know. Taking in that information, absorbing it to later use. The second O is for orient. And that's when you modify the observations based on past knowledge or meta knowledge, and you're going to orient yourself around that information. So, yeah, you can take in raw information. You know there's 5 minutes left. Then you can take what you know, and you know, okay, well, that means we've got to get this many kills to win, or we've got to make a play here, or I know that this gun is good. I'm using that, meta decision stuff. That's where you're orienting yourself around the game so that you're making good decisions, which is the third one, decide. This is the literal act of taking action, where you're deciding what action to take. Act, do it, execute your decision. So it flows very nicely, right? These steps sort of flow right into each other. And for good reason, because they're happening all the time, constantly, very quickly, without really realizing it. So when I say observe, orient, decide, act, you don't have time to set that up, right? You're not going like, all right, maybe I'll shoot later once I've oriented myself, and then I'll decide, and then I act. This happens real, real fast. And so that's why it's easy to forget. Also, another thing is like most tips, most strategy, and most discussion on video games that you get information about like, or what's the meta right now, the top 5 guns in the Crucible, best hero to play in Overwatch. All those tips and all that talk revolves around the act, right? It's just the things that you do. Do this, you'll be better. And we do it all the time. A lot of our show focuses on the act. This loop that you're going to do really informs you how much more there is, how much stuff happens before you act. And that's the biggest part of it. So, Birds, you had mentioned the concept of kind of clearing your mind, just going with the flow, not thinking too hard. And there's the good part of that, right? Like being in flow is great. Then there's the bad part, which is like autopilot.
Yep.
And I'm super guilty of that. I'm watching Atlanta on one screen and trying to play quick play on the other. I am in autopilot and I am not doing well all the time. Monkey mind. That's a lot of decision or an act with very little observation and orientation. You might do that basically, you could see who has a super. You're not really reacting to it quickly and efficiently and making smart decisions. And so often I hear people talk about how, oh man, I put up great numbers in quick play and I don't do great in trials. It's like, well, the common response they get is like, well, matchmaking, put in quick play, it's like whatever, but you got to really come to play to win in trials. Well, it's like that, but it's also this OODA Loop thing really, really is required for trials, and you don't utilize it that often in quick play. You don't have to observe and orient. You can just act and you'll do just fine. Doesn't work in trials.
All right, so talk me through this thing. I'm gonna load up the game and orient myself, and then observe the game, and then decide I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna play my match. That's it, right?
Well, no, it's more like micro loops that are happening constantly. This is stuff that's why I say loop, it's because it's literally on a loop, and everything you're doing is just another loop and another loop. So this is happening all the time while you play. You look to your right, you take out the right gun, you shoot, there's that loop all right there. And that's happening for you, but also think about it's happening for every other player in that match. That means that in Destiny PvP, there are 8 OODA loops happening at all times. And that's important for you to know, because this game is not just about what you decide to do. It's the decisions of all of the other players. 4 opponents on the other team, your 3 teammates, all of those OODA loops are really crucial for what you're doing. You have to observe and orient yourself around those loops. So there's 8 of them. It's very complex. And in a perfect world, in a super genius computer mind, you'd be able to track all of these at the same time, and you would be like the Matrix and just perfectly fighting like a 50 Agent Smiths. But like obviously that's crazy, and you can't really do that. In a more realistic sense, high skill players, really good thinking players, are managing multiple OODA loops. They're doing themselves. They are managing the OODA loop of their direct opponent. They might even be considering their teammates at the same time and the other opponents that they can't quite see. That's a lot.
You see that with like someone that's like helping. Specifically, it reminds me of like Joey. Like when he's teaching someone, he's like walking them through the OODA loop that they're supposed to be going through. Like, hey, come with me. You should be watching out over there, and like talking them through what the steps are. And for him, it can be vocal.
Yeah, and then there's a big team component to the first 2 spots, the observe especially, because you can give call outs. So you can sort of take care of that first step of your teammate's OODA loop by just giving that information. Here's some more raw information that you can orient around, and boom, you're like halfway through your own loop. But again, that's all happening very fast. These loops are constantly going. They're literally every single micro decision you make, where you run, where you look, where you scope, where you shoot. And that's the thing, is that beginner players really have their one loop going, and it's already a lot to manage, and you get outplayed because you're just not thinking beyond yourself. Like that out of body experience is not happening, and you're not observing and judging your opponent before they hit you. So that whole autopilot, that's what that is, right? You only have your own loop. You're running around, you're dying. You don't really see why. You haven't made any adjustments. But if you're focusing on those OODA loops, your own, maybe your opponents, you can start to go, oh, that guy starts out with a sticky throw. And then when he misses, he doesn't have a follow-up shot. Now I'm going to orient around that. I'm going to dodge that. Now that he threw his grenade and he doesn't know what to do, I'm going to go up and kill him. That's how you're reacting to an opponent's OODA loop. Now you're managing 2. Now just think about 8 and slowly build up to that.
All right. So this thing is happening constantly, and it happens very quickly, and you're usually not even thinking about it. So with the power of podcast magic, Bonesy, here's what I want you to do. You're in trials.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a moment that happened recently. And the round has started. Something's already happened. Maybe the first pick has happened. And think specifically, find a moment, and we're going to freeze time. Andrew, freeze time sound effect now. All right. And we could say here in this one frozen moment for as long as we want, again, with the power of podcast magic, Bonesy, talk me through in detail. Observe, orient, decide, act. What's going through your head? Set the scene.
Okay. Because this is about decision making. I talked about this during a run a couple weekends ago on Eternity. So we're playing defense, and we check keyhole first. The other team did not go to keyhole. They went to temple. Now, there was one thing I kept trying to reinforce, and it was push through keyhole. Get there fast. Do something now, because we have already confirmed, we have observed that the team is not here. We were a little cautious. We didn't want to walk out into lanes, but we did observe and confirm that there were no enemies on this side. They all went to temple. Now, then the orient does take place, but it's just a little slow, right? We're like, okay, what does that mean? They're not on this side. I can choose to go forward. I can choose to swing around in the back. That decision happens a little slow sometime in trials. So then I decide as quickly as I can, once I've observed and oriented myself around that, to just keep going. My action is I am going to sprint forward, continue to push forward, and try to get a flank, while the rest of my team either follows me through or swings back around and tries to do a pinch. That's the OODA loop right there. And that's just one. That is literally... So in this unfreeze, it's only 2 seconds later, and I haven't made it to temple. I haven't killed anyone. All I've done is really run forward to try to look down the hallway, right? That was my OODA loop right there. Observe that there was no one here, orient myself, and then that means that they all went to temple. It's been this long, so they're probably above power ammo at this point. I've decided that I'm going to push through for the flank. I've acted, and now I'm sprinting forward to that spot. That's an OODA loop.
Can I do one?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm liking this one, but I'm not much of a trials guy. I like to play quick play because I'm getting a couple games in before I go to bed. This is a real quick play moment. We're playing Clash on Javelin, and I have just died and respawned and land on my feet. Andrew, freeze it. So I've just spawned. The game picked my spawn point. I'm looking around. The very first thing I'm trying to figure out is, okay, where did it spawn me? Okay, it put me back in my original spawn by the power ammo. So I'm kind of far away from the action. The next thing I notice is that I don't have anyone on my radar. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is move somewhere. But I've got a couple other things to notice, which is I've got my nade up. That's something. And that also my teammates seem kind of close together. They're off to the left. They're doing that backtrack. And they all seem to be together, kind of grouped up, but somebody's getting shot, somebody's taking some damage. And it looks like all of my opponents are alive as well. They seem like they were all alive when they just killed me. So with all this in mind, I'm going to orient myself to say what they need right now is my backup. They are outnumbered by 1, and if I can get there and get in a team shot, maybe make a nice toss with this grenade. In fact, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to toss this grenade because that's what they need. I've oriented myself to the situation, and I've decided that the only thing I'm worried about right now is getting to the position I need to do, lining up this toss and putting this grenade where it needs to be. So maybe I can clean up somebody my teammates are working on. And with that, I turn slightly to the left and start sprinting. And I love this moment of spawning in, and that's what you get playing quick play, is you get a moment to decide what you want to do. This was one of my better moments because usually what happens is I spawn in and I look for red and I hold forward and get there as fast as possible. But how many times have you realized that they didn't even have to pinch you? You walked into the pinch and you probably could have figured out that, wow, they had a nice spread there. They had an angle on me. I shouldn't have done that, or I was outnumbered. I kind of knew that two of my teammates were dead, that all of them were alive, that I was going through the middle instead of, reducing the angles I could be shot from. But I didn't take in that information and use it when I was deciding to say, hey, I'm going to go get someone. Let's go get someone. And this thing, it's, like you say, it's a split second, but you can actually break it out like this and just do it over and over and over.
Yeah.
And for me, it doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I usually find myself making a lot fewer avoidable mistakes, unforced errors when I think of it like this.
I think with any exercise, it's going to take time. You're not going to be able to run through this real quick off the top of your head. You're gonna jot this down after listening to us and be like, oh, okay, OODA. All right, have it in front of my monitor, sit there and be like, I respawned, did that. I think it helps to just kind of focus on what you already know and like what you are already good at, and then be like, okay, let's start slowly but surely expanding on my techniques as I walk through it. Don't get too bogged down in focusing on it, but try and remember certain aspects, tying it into what we were talking about before. When you die or when you have a moment to refocus, say, okay, what part of the OODA loop did I get wrong? And how do I apply it going forward? And that's your focus. Bring your focus back and say, okay, that's what I'm going to focus on going forward in this match.
Yeah, and that really plays into the orientation part of it, right? Which is taking past knowledge or meta knowledge. It's just like, all right, what do I know? Don't focus on what I don't know. Let's not try to solve any questions about my gameplay that I haven't analyzed just yet. What do I know? How can I act on that? And you can do these in really like micro scenarios, right? We've talked about some real basic, sort of big game movement concepts here, but a really, really common OODA loop that I see and that I'm trying to work on right now is the melee game. Because in D1, it was just finish with melee to get kill, right? That was an easy loop to do. The melee OODA loop now is a little different because two melees don't automatically kill. So you often get in these kind of fights, right, where you can't tell if, like, do I have a charged melee? Did they? And am I just doing the basic uncharged melee damage? So one of the common ones is, like, trying to get that second melee when really it wasn't the right call, right? It wasn't going to kill him, and it's just too slow. So instead, I'm observing that my shield went down this much. I've observed that it's on my screen, raw data. I took this much damage. I'm orienting myself around that, and I've decided that I'm going to just hip fire with Uriel's gift without trying to get my other melee, and then I act and I do it quickly. That's a real fast loop right there, and that can save you. And instead of going that slow decision of like, second melee, didn't act on it soon enough, and to kind of smooth this down even a lot more, because this is a very heavy topic and a complicated episode. I got one good takeaway for all y'all out there. I should just tweet this at Skyline because he came up with this and knows this and taught me this. But this is the Reddit comment to upvote. Okay,
I'm ready.
Fast, simple decisions always beat slow, smart decisions. That's not my suggestion. That's not a good idea. That is fucking science. Right? That is like straight up competition science. The fast decision will beat the slow, smart one. And that is what I'm constantly trying to like help my teammates figure out, because that is like, man, Trials was just like, what do I do? Just make that fast decision, right? You can even get sloppy. I mean, obviously we don't want to play sloppy, but in those melee scrums, right? Like the sloppy hip fire is just the faster decision than trying to switch to hand cannon instead of using my auto and blah, blah, blah. that fast decision always wins. So take it back to that moment where I see no one's at keyhole. I've moved up. I know they all went to temple. I am not standing there. I am not looking back at my team. I'm not thinking, well, maybe I'll run through the defensive spawn. Oh, should I go far? I am just running because that fast decision is the only way we're going to make a play here. And taking a long time and maybe considering looking at power ammo or whatever, it's not going to work. So fast, simple decision always beats slow, smart decision. OODA Loops.
This might seem impossible to be doing this constantly. And as with all things that are not natural when you first try them, it just gets easier with practice. But I want to recommend an episode from another podcast that I listened to. And even if you're not interested in the topic, you should listen to this one. It's from the Planet Money podcast, but they did an oddball episode. It's episode 791, and it's called Tips from Spies. They had four former spies on the show, and they asked them, how do you think like a spy? How do you drive like a spy? And there was a former spy there who told a story about a moment when he was on a train in a foreign country that was not necessarily friends with the U.S., and he was in deep cover. And somebody, and I'm paraphrasing, maybe I don't get the details right, but somebody comes out of nowhere. They seem maybe drunk, or they picked him out, or maybe not quite there. And they shove him and they knock him onto the ground. And he describes in detail how all of his training and all of his practice kicks in, and he does the OODA loop and he walks through every step. And he's dealing with, I mean, we're just trying to win a trials match or capture a control point. He describes, look, I've got on the line, if this guy is an enemy spy who's trying to blow my cover, then this could mean I die. If this guy is a crazy person and I engage the wrong way, the police are going to get involved and I'm cooked. He talks through all of this as he's lying on the ground after getting pushed. And he finally, in a split second, but all of this OODA loop analysis happens. And finally, he decides what he's going to do. And he makes the right call. I won't give it away. Episode 791 of Planet Money, Tips from Spies. It's a good one.
Spies, man, we are really getting into it this week.
Yep. Monkeys, spies, and 24-hour gas station nachos.
Monkeys.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Classic Crucible Radio.
U.S. military strategy. Well, I think it's really good stuff. Swain, you will confidently say that, you know, meditation has helped your game, helped your mental state. I can definitely say that the OODA loop thing is so crucial. I mentioned that it's really good for my play because my reaction time is not great, right? Like I'm beyond that prime age of gamer as the three of us are.
30. I'm doomed.
Yeah, like we don't have that like pure raw reaction time where that DA part of it just happens lightning fast. So I have to kind of do those like advanced steps. Like I got to observe and orient a few seconds before just so I can get into position. Then I can decide and act. Like I have to do those steps beforehand to make plays because I cannot just turn on a dime and hit my shot like I want to so often. But I don't know. Maybe I will someday. Maybe I'll get in shape.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes I just hit fire and see what happens.
Yeah. Everything is connected. The skills that you use in the video game are the same skills you take into life, whether you're at school, whether you're at your job, whether you're deciding whether or not you really should go to bed or stay up late, or you're having an argument with a friend, or you're doing your taxes, or you're asking out that person you have a crush on. It's all the same skills. It's just you. It's your mind and your body, and you can practice anything everywhere. So just think about it. Just be aware of it. That's all.
Yeah, man.
I feel like the show's winding down, but I'm realizing we owe somebody a musical break.
We do.
Is that now?
Should we break and then go out, and then we'll have an outro, and then we'll have outro music?
It's that or not have a musical break,
okay.
And that is not acceptable.
Musical break in!
Musical break.
Musical break. darkness that blinds and the light that rides.
Music this week comes from Confessions of a Traitor, straight out of London. Go check them out at facebook.com/confessionsofatraitor. Now, if you're wondering, how did they get played on the show? It was so simple. They just sent us an email with some of their music to crucibleradio@gmail.com. Implying that if you're a musician, you should also do that too. crucibleradio@gmail.com. Thanks. Guys, this was an interesting episode. This one, you guys took me by surprise with this one. I enjoyed this.
Oh, well, that's good. Even though you're the one at the major.
Yep. Turns out, I don't want to talk about what I got a degree in and what I didn't end up using my degree for. It's beside the point.
Doesn't matter.
If you stayed with us this long, though, you know we love you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
We have fun together, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
I enjoy our time together.
I'm glad to be back. Fallout, you did great. Thanks, buddy. But get the fuck out of here.
As always, head on over, crucibleradio.com. Everything you could ever want. If you're listening to this for some reason on a Friday and you're about to go into some trials, check out the website. We probably have an awesome map from Relict for that trials map.
Those are dope.
They're so good. We got all the
He's
callouts.
a wizard.
He is a wizard.
He does it.
An actual wizard.
We employ a wizard.
CrucibleRadio.com.
Follow us on Twitter. You can find it all there at Crucible Radio.
Follow me on Twitch, Swain Stash.
Yeah, follow
Yeah.
me on Twitch.
Yeah.
Follow Swain on Twitch.
Follow me on
Yeah.
Twitter.
Follow Swain
Follow-
on Twitter.
Yeah.
Follow Bones on Twitch at Fallout Plays.
Follow Fallout. Why not?
You know what? He earned it. Fallout. Let's talk. Get a little sick of this, Bones.
I gotta rest my voice. I love y'all. Bye.
Bye. I love you.
See you next week.
I've seen the sea. Walls now closing inside of me. Not everything in this life is bought. Strength grows from the lessons we get taught.
Hello everyone, Swain here. You know that Crucible Radio is your source for all things Destiny PvP, and I know you want more than just this video, so make sure to head on over to crucibleradio.com to find all of our past episodes, detailed Crucible maps, t-shirts, and much, much more.